If it cost you your peace, it's too expensive. If it cost you your value, it's not worth losing it. What's up, y'all? It's yours truly, Dr. Eddie. How you doing? How you living? How's it going? What's happening? Hope you're doing well. Listen, I appreciate you coming back for another empowerment video. If you're not a part of our academy, I want you to take a deep dive. I want you to swoop in and soar with us in our Eagles Academy as we empower you to soar into success and purpose, how to turn your purpose into profit, your ideas and income, your contacts into contracts. The healing, the transparency, the transformation is what you're going to get when you connect with us in our academy. Do it through a 4G model: God, goals, gifts, greatness, and would cause you to level up in every single area of your life. All you got to do, tap in, join now, www.theeaglesacademy.com. Soar into success and greater purpose with us. Let's jump right into it. I want to talk today about healing what's hurting you. If you haven't been living under a rock, you can see that marriages are in a precarious place and position. It's a murky place for many marriages. And you saw about maybe 4 different celebrity couples getting a divorce. Statistics suggest that over 700,000 divorces are filed a year. Every 42 seconds or so in America, somebody's getting a divorce. So it's a very deleterious time, much for relationships, and even because people have so many misconstrued conceptions and perceptions about somebody's supposed to be their savior, somebody's supposed to be their end-all be-all and bring them happiness. Nobody can make you happy if you're not happy internally for yourself. It doesn't begin with them, it starts with you. It starts within, not from them. When you think about 61% of all working adults, regardless of relationship status, reportedly feel isolated. The pandemic really put it under a certain microscope and really exposed the isolation, the extreme overwhelming feeling that so many people are experiencing with mental health, with anxiety, with depression, being more connected than ever before with social media, so on and so forth, but more disconnected than ever before. And seemingly relationships and marriages are in a place of being so combustible. And one of the things is that we have not healed from what is hurting us, but we expect other people to heal us when we have not found the healing within ourselves. In the midst of cuffing season is what so many people are segueing into with the fall and the winter months. What is it to have a bracelet from the wrong person, but it winds up being a handcuff? What is it to have a necklace that now becomes a noose? I think we have to realize that relationships are investments. The best investment that you can make is in the relationship internally. Right? What is your view of you? Becoming the right one for the right one first begins by you being right for yourself. And I think we have to understand this, is that relationships are an investment. Relationships are an investment of emotions, time, energy, so on and so forth. Right? Relationships are not free. It costs what you can't see. Let me say that twice because it's also nice. Relationships are not free. It's going to cost you what you can't see. And it's going to cost you what I just said. Time, energy, emotions, beyond a bag. and a Bugatti, beyond some shoes and your favorite skirt, relationships cost what you can't see. And here's the harsh truth about it. A lot of us are emotionally illiterate. What do I mean by that? We have not taken the time to do the inductive study to actually process and audit our emotions. We've just left it to chance. We've just left it through a whim, and we feel as if somebody who steps into our life is just going to have to deal with us the way we are, when we have not made healing a primary factor in our lives, and they're not going to do it. Right? You have to do an internal self-analysis and check on your emotional well-being. We have to really rid ourselves of the vestiges of our past, the emotional incarceration, the psychological pain, the intergenerational trauma. Because if you don't heal, you're going to bleed on people who didn't cut you. So I want to give you 4 specific perspectives of how to heal what's hurting you, so that you can recover from what you tried to cover. One is that, as I was alluding to it, you got to do an emotional audit. Got to do an emotional audit. I want you to walk with me on this. I want you to take some notes if you're doing that. And here's how you try it out. Here's how you do an emotional audit. And you got to have a real talk with yourself. How do you do this? Simply writing down, love looks like fill in the blank. Love feels like fill in the blank. Right? You can't base it upon what other people perceive of you. What does love feel like to you? Dr. Gary Chapman talked about in his book, 5 Love Languages. Talked about words of affirmation, talked about gifts, quality time. He also talked about acts of service, physical touch. Many of us fall into one of those particular 5 categories. What does love look and feel like to you? I feel loved when. Proceed to fill in the blank. Anger and sadness looks like. Anger and sadness feels like. I feel sad or angry when. And generally, what is the behavior that commences when you do feel angry and sad? Many of us automatically go into emotional eating, right? Or we go into projecting how we feel onto other people, when in many cases, nobody deserves to do that. Nobody deserves to be treated like that, for you to project your anger or your animosity or your sadness onto somebody else. What does peace look like for you? What does peace feel like for you? What does it feel like to you? What does hope look like? What does hope feel like? What does fear look like and feel like? What is even, here it is, a healthy relationship looks like blank. A healthy relationship feels like. If you don't know what you want, somebody's going to decide what you get. And generally it's going to be what you don't want. But how do you know what you don't want if you don't know what you do want? Are you confused yet? So is a person who doesn't know what they don't want, much less what they do want. It's like you go into a restaurant and you can't even make a selection because there's so many choices, the paradox of choice. Much less now you leave it to chance for the waiter or the waitress to decide what you're going to eat. And now you don't like what they chose, but you didn't even have the gall to choose. Right? You can't be mad if somebody places something on your plate for life and in general, when in many cases you didn't decide what should go on there. Got to make a conscientious decision. Got to do an emotional audit so that you can paint the picture of what your life is to look like. Right? Hear me. Emotional intelligence and emotional investments go hand in hand. Whenever you enter a relationship, the process of an emotional investment begins. As I said before, relationships are not free. It's going to cost you and me. Relationships are not free. It's going to cost you your time. It's going to cost you your energy. It's going to cost you your emotions. It's going to cost something. Are you willing to pay the cost of what in many cases you can't see? Relationships are not free. It's going to cost you. It's going to cost something you can't see. Right? You can't pour from an empty cup. And in many cases, when you're emotionally illiterate, you're pouring from an empty cup without discernment into people who have holes in their cup. You gotta get a serious grip on where it is that you are in life. As their song said, check yourself or you wreck yourself. You don't check yourself, you're gonna wreck yourself. Right? I'm not saying that relationships are not good at all. Of course, relationships are good. However, it is the context, it is the structure, it is the framework of what the relationship is built upon. Right? And if you're not in that specific place and space, you will become emotionally bankrupt. So many times we're hurting over and over and over again because hurting people hurt people. As a result, you can't be with somebody simply just because of the sake of the holidays. You can't be with somebody simply because you want to wear matching outfits and post your photos on social media. You can't be with somebody just simply so you can cuddle on a couch because it's cuffing season. It's beyond Netflix and chills about what can I do to network and build. How much can you afford to invest? Are you emotionally available enough for another person? Is the person emotionally available to you and even for you? Are you willing to be authentic? Are you willing to be transparent? Are you willing to be genuine? Right? Because if you're solely focused on a cuffing season can get you locked up with the wrong person because you didn't do an emotional audit. Right? Relationships are just beyond securing the bag. You got to secure your soul first. Relationships are in that specific place of, am I willing to invest? Here's the thing. Many of us have the intent, but not the extent. What I mean by that, number 2, what's your emotional savings account like? What's in your emotional savings account? Right? I know you got $1 million in the bank, but how much do you have in your emotional savings account? How much love? How much peace? How much joy? How much fidelity? How much freedom? How much mental sanity do you have? Scripture says, for wherever your treasure is, there will your heart be also. Your heart is connected to your investment. And here it is. Just because somebody has a heart doesn't mean they have a heart. You got to do some discernment. You got to do some investigation. You have to take the time to actually study somebody. You got to check the fruit of an individual. What are they rooted in? Just because they have a heart doesn't mean they have a heart. Right? You've got to take the time to understand and even process your emotions. In your emotional savings account, there's got to be a balance of love. There's got to be peace. There's got to be hope. Sadness shouldn't occupy your emotional savings account. Envy and anger and fear and jealousy are all emotional threats to the state of your love, your peace, and your happiness. Right? Yes, these are common emotions. However, you got to do something when the emotion tries to attach itself to your mind. You got to evict it out of your mind. You got to replace it. Right? You can't fight what you refuse to face. You can't heal from what you won't deal with. You can't address what you refuse to confess. And for many of us, October is not just harvest time. October marks Halloween. But many of us are wearing a mask that we have not taken off. And as a result of it, we're scared out of our purpose. We're stymied. We're stuck. We're frozen in our past. Because Halloween is more than just one day for somebody. If you go through life wearing a mask every day, Halloween is every day. You don't need a boo. You need a blessing. You don't need somebody who's going to scare you. You need somebody who's going to walk with you in a prepared space that elevates you. That's what you got to do. How much sadness are you dealing with? How much love do you have to give? How much love do you have internally within yourself? How much peace do you have for yourself? Here it is. You can't give what you don't have. Right? And it's a dangerous place to live a life of emotional illiteracy. Because in that whole aspect, even if your intentions are good, it doesn't work out for your good. You can't give what you don't have, and it doesn't matter how good of a person you are, the relationship will end up bankrupt if you're emotionally illiterate. Here it is. I know good intentions are what they are, but it's like having $1 million. It's like somebody wanting to withdraw $1 million in the bank, but they only got a few thousand or a few $100s. It's an overdraft in a big margin, right? You have the intent to give $1 million, but your extent limits you. Good intentions. Tell the banker that all you want to. When a check is got elastic on it because it bounces, right? Well, you're writing a faith check, so to speak. The intentions are good, but you can't give what you don't have. Have you ever stepped into a relationship prematurely before you did a personal audit? Right? The person you thought was going to heal you and help you wound up hurting you and harming you. You thought a date or cuffing season was going to thrill you. But no, you got to participate in your own healing. And here it is. The healing is not just so that you can attract a new person. The healing is so that you can become a new person. The healing is not just so that you can be released to get a new car, a new house, a new spouse. The healing is for the release of you living a life of restoration, of you walking into the place of your purpose. You got to loose and let the certain folks go. Some people you just got to love from a distance. Right? Some people are literally biohazards to your blessing. And as a result, you will unintentionally sabotage a new thing if you don't heal from old things. Old things have to be passed away for all things to become new. You got to address and identify what are the triggers, what are the traumas, what is the TNT, the trauma and the triggers in your life that becomes so explosive. Number 3, got to value you and your emotions too. Fat Joe said, yesterday's price is not today's price. What is that all about? When you value you, you raise the price on yourself too. You raise the price on your emotions. You raise the price. You give yourself a particular appraisal. You get to the place that you realize if it cost you your peace, it's too expensive. If it cost you your value, it's not worth losing it. If it cost you withdrawing your relationship from God, it's not of God. Right? And here's the thing. In this human experience, we don't expect the same person that you're with for months, years, or decades to hurt you so bad. You don't expect the same person that looked you in the eyes and said, I do to you, to marry you, to eventually say, I don't, much less for you to say it. You didn't expect or prepare for a person to be unfaithful or have unpredictable behavior to where now you question yourself. What did you do wrong? Did you cook the rice too long? Did you undercook it? Did you not spoil them the way that they wanted to? Was it not enough? Did you give too much too soon? Now your mind is filled with all types of questions that can't possibly be answered because you're in a continuum of a conundrum of emotions, right? And now our relationships have become like a new trailer of Fast and the Furious. You thought it would last, but it ended fast. And here it is as a consequence. Now you're furious. Heart is hanging in the balance. Eyes are welled up with tears. Right? Because the person who you opened up the door to closed it on you. Now it comes to the place of, how do I ever trust again? Some people totally just thrown love away. I don't want anything to do with what's going to bring my heart closer to anybody else because you remember the last time of what took place. But you got to find a way to break through what tries to break you. Can't give up. You got to believe again. You got to hope again. You got to love yourself through what you go through. You got to speak life over your life. You got to take some time to maybe fall back a little bit, maybe withdraw so that you can work on your mental health. You got to maybe have a counselor, maybe have a therapist. Be around people who just don't want to be around you, but who will surround you. Who don't come to pray on you, but come to pray with and for you. Not worriers, but warriors. Not whiners, but winners. Not chumps, but champions. People who aren't chained to their past, but who are changed for their future. Listen, we didn't buy homes. We don't buy homes hoping that one day we're going to end in a foreclosure. We don't buy cars in hopes that they'll be repossessed. Nobody gets married hoping that one day they'll get a divorce. Nobody goes into a relationship hoping and believing and praying that it's going to end in a heartbreak. Right? We have high hopes, we have good intentions, and it's hard when it's contrary to that. But here's the thing. Sometimes life happens. You know, they say, and that's no cap. I know sometimes they say, sometimes the math ain't mathing. And here's the thing. What do you do when life ain't life? What do you do when life doesn't become or amount to what you intended it for it to be? You got to realize this. A bad relationship doesn't make you a bad person. A bad relationship doesn't mean you have a bad life. A bad rearing, a bad childhood, a bad mother, father wound, bad experiences doesn't mean you have a bad life. You got to turn your mind from bad to good. You got to turn your mind from worse to great. You can't allow emotional instability to be your lot in life. That's what you got to do. Number four, we're going all the way for more, is you got to guard your garden. But I mean, I'm not talking about roses and tulips. I'm not talking about chrysanthemums. I'm not talking about any of your favorite flowers. I'm talking about guarding the garden of your mind. In between your ears is the greatest battle you'll ever face. If you can beat the battle, if you can overcome the battle internally, the battle externally, you can wage war against it. You can wage war against the emotional incarceration, the psychological pain, the intergenerational trauma. You can. James Allen, in his book, As a Man Thinketh, likens the mind to a garden. Based upon what you're planting in your mind, it's going to either lead from those seeds that are planted will either become seeds of strength or weeds of worry. What are you planning in your mind? What are you thinking about? 75% of our thoughts every single hour are negative. So many times we talk ourselves out of what God wants us to step into. We continue to rehearse and revisit and replay bad emotions as if they were our favorite song. Right? You keep negative thoughts on repeat like a song selection from your favorite artist. You have to mitigate it, right? You got to understand this. Love didn't hurt you. Somebody who didn't understand how to love you did. And when you try to make people love you, they're never loyal to you. Because trying to make somebody love you is control and manipulation. Some people will never love you because they were never loyal to you. They were just loyal to their need of you. And hear me, once the need is done, the loyalty is done as well. But loyalty was just as bad as the need, because when they didn't need you no more, the loyalty didn't lie. Right? Love becomes the choice. You got to choose each and every single day to love you. Right? Love is patient. Love is kind. Love is not envious. Can you substitute that person's name for the word love? Can you substitute your name for the word love? Pookie is patient. Ray Ray is kind. Can you substitute the person's name for the word love? If not, They are not an example of it. You can't allow your life to be so hardened. You've got to till your garden. Don't stop being good because somebody treated you bad. Don't give up hope because you've been hurt. Don't stop loving because of somebody's hate. You got to love you through what you go through. You got to develop your mindset. You got to sow into yourself. You got to pour into yourself. You got to invest in yourself. You got to do the emotional audit. You got to heal from what's hurting you by focusing on the thoughts that you think about yourself. If you think little of yourself, you're going to do little for yourself. If you think much of yourself, you're going to do much for yourself and others. Whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are worthy, if there be any virtue, if there be any praise, think on these things. Don't be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. He'll keep you in perfect peace if you keep your mind stayed on him. Don't lose your mind over the wrong person because you're going to need your mind for the right one. Don't lose your mind over the house you lost because you're going to need your mind for the bigger one that you're going to step into. Don't lose your mind over the job because you're going to need your mind for the business that you're getting ready to open. Don't lose your mind. Maintain your mind because you're going to need your mind for the next place that God has for you to go to. Healing from what's hurting you is about honoring your humanity. It's about appropriating the forgiveness of God, forgiving others. But here's the thing, never forgetting to forgive yourself. You gotta forgive yourself. You gotta set up healthy boundaries for yourself. Boundaries aren't just barriers, boundaries are blessings. Boundaries are not walls, boundaries are bridges. You have to decide, decipher, and distinguish who you're going to allow over the bridge of your life or who you're going to keep out. If the person doesn't have boundaries for themselves, they definitely won't respect yours. Healing from what's hurting you. It's about making an investment in yourself, but also checking your relational intelligence, doing an emotional audit, deciding what it is that you need and want. I'm telling you, healing looks good on you. Healing, purpose, restoration is your portion. Go forward and take it because it's already yours. Listen, I hope you were empowered by this video. I need you to like, comment, share, subscribe to this channel. Yeah, the YouTube station. This is the #1 station, YouTube station for inspiration. Come and get it right here. I'm going to keep you locked and loaded. I'm going to give it to you with truth and with love. Listen, I need you to make sure that you swoop into our digital doors. I need you to come into I want to see your face in our digital space as you join our academy. Join our academy community of accountability with so many other unique partners and individuals. Understand that their network determines their net worth. That they don't just go as far as their dream, they go as far as their team. And they want to do that from purpose to profit, from ideas to income, from contacts to contracts, God, goals, gifts, greatness, faith, identity, success, relationships, speaker training, so much more that's in store for you when you step in to our digital doors, when you swoop on in. And I guarantee you, if you spread your wings with us, you'll win because there's an eagle inside of you. So I want you to join us as eagles too. Because eagles, powered, authentically gifted leaders envisioning success. Go right now, www.theeaglesacademy.com. I'll see you there. Peace and love. Talk to you soon.